Fallout 4 is garbage. That's what I thought back in 2017 when I played it for about 7 hours. It was the first Fallout that didn't grab me. Not the gameplay, not the atmosphere. And when I realized this game was basically half SimCity, I did the only logical thing. Deleted it from my PC with extreme disgust. But years passed, the game got patched, Todd Howard kept selling the same games at full price and even sold his ass to Microsoft at half price. Meanwhile, I played so much shit that I decided to give Fallout 4 another shot. Maybe it really does deserve the love it got. So, let me say this. Fallout 4 is not garbage, but it still smells a bit spoiled. Because Bethesda never changes. As usual, the game tells us that war never changes, and right after that, we jump straight into character creation. I always like making characters that look like me because, let's face it, I'm the peak of perfection. An angel who came down from heaven. At least, that was my mom keeps telling me. Too bad there is no option for a bald spot, but luckily, you can make the belly bigger, about this much. Perfect. Almost a copy of me. I don't know about you guys, but I definitely have a baby with a man like that. How can you even resist such a specimen? In Fallout 3 we were looking for our father, in Fallout 4 our son, and in Fallout 5 we'll be looking for the Holy Spirit, if it ever comes out. So before we lose our son forever, let's go check on the little guy. Damn, my son is kinda dark. Honey, do you have something to tell me? Then, as tradition demands, a Jehovah's Witness showed up at our door, which means it's time to come up with a name and assign our characters special stats. I will take inspiration from real life, of course. The name will be bold, ironic and slightly tragic. Todd Pullout. Although, judging by the fact that our hero already has a kid, not much of a pullout, huh? I'm pretty smart, moderately strong, not very hardy, very charismatic, and incredibly inflexible and unlucky. Perfect. That's me to the pixel. And just like that, the news announces that we don't have to pay the mortgage anymore because a nuclear rain is heading straight for us, and we need to run to the shelter right now. Easier said than done though, because as we're trying to reach the vault, the game crashes. Perfect start. You can really tell they spent years polishing this masterpiece. Luckily, it's an easy fix, just delete the game. Or you just need to disable one option in the launcher and everything runs as smooth as very old spoiled butter. Trying not to look back, hoping my unfaithful wife and her definitely not my child won't make it to the vault in time, we still end up going down together on the platform. The shockwave managed to brush the top of my head, which finally gives me a believable explanation for why I'm bald. They lead us down a corridor, hand us a shiny latex suits and show us into cryopods. And in that moment, I finally understand what dumplings feel when I fill the freezer with them for months. After some time, strangers came and thawed me and my wife. But just like I sometimes do with dumplings, thaw them out, decide to smash a beer and pizza, and then freeze them again, these guys decided to kill my wife, take our son and freeze me back. Waking up again, the first thing we do is loot my wife's corpse. She can go fuck herself, she doesn't deserve her rings. The plan to raise an army from frozen people fell apart. Clearly our pot was the only one that worked. So we have no choice but to clear out the neighbors from my apartment, familiar faces, just a bit oversized, open the doors, find the Pip-Boy and get to the surface. I added some modern weapons by the way, and my Colt 1911 will come in handy in fights. We finally make it back to my old house, where my still functioning robot casually drops the bomb that it's been 210 years, and then offers to help me look for my son next door. Spoiler! No son, just a family of steroid-abusing bees. So we have to head to the nearest town, where people still run something like a life and ask around to see what's what. Obviously, I can't wander the wasteland dressed like I'm coming from a swingers party, so we grab some decent clothes from the nearest corpse. After that, we find the icon of this game, the dog. Couldn't ask for a better companion. Anyway, we hear gunfire in the nearby town, so like two overzealous hussars, we charge in, shoot raiders in the head and torso, and meet some guys cosplaying as Minutemen. You know, I could cosplay psychiatrist if needed. What the fuck am I wearing? Whoa. After listening to those heart-wrenching Bethesda dialogues, we head down to grab the nuclear core for the power armor on the roof, and when I try to hack the terminal, surprise, another bag. And this is my life now. I guess the search for my son is over. We finally avoid the bug, take the core and drop into the armor. As if scripted, raiders pour in and I tear them apart with my bare hands. The imps fly in every direction. It feels like a sandbox where sand mixes with blood. From the sewers crawls a horned mutant crocodile, and it calmly explains that a human in power armor is no longer the apex of evolution. Remembering that I've got a minigun in my pocket, I reclaimed my title as the top predator and, with clear consciousness and dirty hands, went back to the Minutemen. What the fuck is that name? They asked me to escort them to the nearest settlement. They are looking for a new home. And the old lady told me when she's high, she can tell me some important visions about my fate. What the fuck is wrong with my life? Anyway, fine, I'll get you there, but after that, you are on your own. As for me, together with my dog and a twitching eye, I'm heading into the wasteland to find my son. Dog, run. What is this? Game of the year. Whoa, what a piece of shit. Wandering the wastes, I picked up a distress signal from the police station. Why not help? After stepping on a couple of mines, I answered the call, and it turned out the Brotherhood of Steel was the one calling. I've always liked those hard-headed soldier boys, so I gladly helped them repel the attack, and out of boredom, agreed to help a paladin go down below in search of some crap. Enemies start flooding from every side. I make a tactical retreat into another room, heroic as always, but going back to the paladin who's surrounded by a pack of synths doesn't sound like my kind of fun. What can I do in this situation? Easy. Lock the door from inside and hit the big red button. Boom. Roasted. Obviously, Brotherhood power armor must be made of Soviet cast iron, which, trust me, is tougher than adamantium, because the guy walks out perfectly fine. Finally, we find the thing we came for, and after a ride in the elevator that lasted forever, and that's with the game running on a SSD, folks on a HDD are still in transit, we finally make it to the surface. Paladin Dance thanks me for the help, hands me a pretty decent laser rifle, and suggests I join the Brotherhood. Bro, we barely know each other. At least take me to dinner first. I told him I'd think about it and headed off toward Diamond City. Reaching the city walls, I helped the local guards fight off a group of super mutants, partly for respect, mostly for loot. Getting through the gates, however, required help from a grotesque 70s movie-style half-insane journalist. Actually, it's more like I helped her get in, and she somehow helped me in the same time. It's complicated. After a quick chat with the major to whom I poured out my tragic life story, I finally step into the last place in the wasteland that still pretends to be civilization. The word civilization was definitely too generous for this place, and so was the word pretend. There was also nothing diamond or city about it. Still, no complaints. That's our life now. But there was one true diamond hidden in this junkyard. A sweet woman, Nick Valentine's secretary, who, broken-hearted, begged me to find her missing boss. As a true gentleman, I used all my charm to get some money for the job, then even more money, before refusing to take the job. God, I'm good. But let's not drive the poor woman to suicide, so I agreed to find Nick after all. By the way, there is a guy in town pointing a gun at his brother and asking where his brother is. I would suggest renaming Diamond City to Hard Rock City for the sake of accuracy. Following our lady's tip, we head underground, blast fans of New Vegas, you can tell by their outfits, rescue Nick and stare dumbfounded at the absurdity. A woman in an evening dress swinging a bed. Only in Bethesda games, and that's why we love them. Nick Valentine, grateful for the rescue, promises to help me find my son. Who better than I have broken sins to do this job? And asked me to tell everything I know and saw. After I describe my wife's killer,
It's okay.
it's okay, she was a bitch. They immediately ID him as someone called Kellogg, whose house is about 50 meters from ours in the same town. The owner is not home, the door is locked with a heavy-duty lock, and neither Nick nor I can pick it. Well then, at least I can piss on his doorstep, but before I pull my Johnson out of my pants, Nick suggests we go see the major for the key. We pretend not to notice the half-mad journalist loitering in the major's foyer and go straight to the major himself. Despite all my charm and persuasion, the major refuses to give me the key. Not out of kindness, not out of pity, not even for a bribe. Thank God his secretary, a wild-tempered woman, proved far more corrupt. For a couple of caps, she hands us the key to someone else's house without questions. If only our state had more people like her. So, me and Valentine step into Kellogg's truly luxurious apartment. Guy clearly lived better than half the wasteland. We find his secret BDSM room, but no sign of the man himself. What we do find is a cigar still wet with his draw, and Nick gets a brilliant idea. Use my dog to track Kellogg down by the smell. Because obviously the stench of this junkyard we're standing in won't overpower whatever aroma that cigar's giving off. But hey, worth a try. So we set off following the fresh trail. Roughly 100 meters out of town, we stumble across another cigar. Poor bastard must be getting tired from all that walking and sat down for a smoke break next to a radioactive puddle. A bit further ahead, we come upon a bloodbath he clearly left behind, then another rest stop, a busted-up robot, and here we are, the presumed location. After turning a batch of things into a pile of scrap, Kellogg himself decides to spice things up with a dramatic speech over the loudspeaker. Not that it's going to help him. If I were him, I'd be reading the Holy Bible and begging forgiveness, because I'm about to send him straight to the guy upstairs. And so, we finally find the man who killed my wife and kidnapped my son. But before I unload 27 bullets into his forehead, I figure we might as well chat a bit. Questions like, where's my son? And how the hell do you sleep at night? He tells us that Sean's alive and well, tucked away in some place called the Institute that he calls home. Also mentions that this whole mission of mine is pointless because no one can find the Institute and oh, our son is older than we think. I have no idea what that was supposed to mean, so I turned him into a pile of ash, loot his badass revolver, and of course, grab some weird, completely unexplained brain chip thing, because come on, those are exactly the kind of items you always pick up. Well, the task is getting more and more exciting. Now I have to search for I don't know what in I don't know where, and my current companions, yeah, not exactly special ops material. But just as I crawl back to the surface, I witness a sign from above. An enormous Brotherhood of Steel airship arriving in our lands, belting out an angelic speech. Of course, if anyone's going to dig up the earth to find the Institute, it's these guys, especially now that they are offering me a spot among them. So I march straight to the police station, walk up to Paladin Dance and say I'm ready to offer my body and soul to the Brotherhood. He gladly accepts and tells me that before I get an audience with the big cheese on the airship, I'll need to earn some trust first. Couple of runs later, and I'm a seasoned veteran of the wasteland. Our metal buddy brings me along to meet the top brass. On board, the captain meets us with obvious distrust, convinced I'm just using the Brotherhood for my own ends. I assure him, with full responsibility, that's exactly what I'm doing. So here I am, a green rookie with 40 minutes of Brotherhood service, standing on the bridge beside battle-tested officers before the head of the Order. After an impressive speech about what the Institute is and why everything connected to it must be destroyed, I get the honor of a private audience with the godlike leader. He explains they are all narrow-minded hardcore fascists, armed to the teeth and hating everything. And that's precisely what I need. And they proclaim me a knight. Career jump complete. Don't tell the grunts who've been scrubbing the deck for years. After meeting the crew and learning I have to buy my own gear from them, I talk to the mechanic, who hooks me up with brand new, fresh out of the box power armor. Now I'm ready to cosplay a space marine with all the Warhammer bells and whistles. I'm probably in heaven. My first mission, together with Paladin Dance, who's now basically my sidekick, is to capture a fort overrun by super mutants. They are sitting on a pile of Fatman nukes, and we'll need those for the coming assault of the Institute. First step, clear the landing zone. Classic Vietnam vibes. I love the smell of nuclear fuel in the morning. Together, we wiped out everything that breathes. What doesn't breathe, we mercifully ignore. And there it was, the glorious warehouse full of North Korea's nuclear reserves. We report back to the general on the airship, and he tells us, yeah, this is all very impressive, but they still have no idea where the institute is. So the Brotherhood, in all its might, will just sit here and wait for me to find it on my own. What can I say? Time well wasted. If I knew where the Institute was, I wouldn't need you guys in the first place. And since the all-powerful Brotherhood can't help, maybe the parody of a journalist I've been avoiding all this time can. I guess I'll buy her flowers or something. After a lovely little three-way chat, we are told about a place called the Memory Den. Apparently, they can pull memories out of anyone's head, but can they pull memories out of the shot in the head? That's the challenge with a gold star. We are also given a choice. Go there with Piper, God forbid, or go with Nick, who is already going there anyway. I'm not walking alone, that's for sure, so I take Nick and we head to Good Neighbor, a hellhole full of thieves, murderers and psychos. So, basically like the rest of the wasteland. Still don't get why Nick makes it sound so dramatic. Upon entering, we are confronted by a particularly aggressive local who appears to mistake us for easy prey. I calmly yet clearly inform him of his error and suggest that if he wishes to keep his teeth and fingers intact, shut the fuck up may be the better option. He responds with sudden and uncharacteristic respect. Unfortunately, his superior disapproves of his tone and introduces a knife to his internal organs. Much obliged, sir. We finally reach the Memory Den, which, let's be honest, looks more like a brothel. We walk up to a charming lady with a very revealing outfit, and I'm thinking just one thing. Can I erase the memory of this game from my brain? She doesn't even talk to us, just waves us off to the back room, where the actual brain specialist is. We hand her the chunk of brain we ripped out earlier, spamming sarcasm option literally every line of dialogue, because why should I be the only one suffering here? She tells us there is nothing to pull from this glob of bio-vomit, but good news, we can show it into Nick's head, and I can plug into his brain to dig for the data myself. Great. After one more serving of premium sarcasm, I hop into Nick's head to dive into Kellogg's head. Dropping into this mental garbage, we start walking through Kellogg's memories one by one, starting from his childhood. We watch a once innocent boy turned into a monster, ruined by a tyrant father and completely deranged mother. I'm 90% sure there's a memory somewhere of his dad molesting him, but the brain probably flushed that part down the mental toilet. Yes, that's a new low in my humor, and yes, you are still watching. Here's where he found a wife and kid, here's where he lost them, here's where he lost his liver, and over here, his last shred of humanity. Then, we finally learn that the Institute uses teleportation for travel, which is why nobody can ever find them. We also hear of a scientist who escaped and allegedly hid somewhere in the glowing sea. Exiting the brain, we finish off the doctor with a final blast of sarcasm and learn that to reach that radioactive hellhole, we need power armor, which luckily is waiting for us on the airship. So I grab Nick, who briefly gets possessed by Kellogg,
You were looking for inside my head.
suit up and head straight into the heart of hell. After butchering an unimaginable number of rat scorpions deep in this valley of shit and radiation, we find, unbelievably, a human settlement. Apparently, these folks lost their might somewhere along the way since they worship radiation. Never happened before, and here we go again. But otherwise, they look surprisingly healthy. Skin still attached, hair still in place. Anyway, we're still looking for that scientist, and so, stepping beyond the very edge of the map, in the most convenient spot possible, right behind the sleeping Desklo, we sneak into a cave and find Dr. Virgil, slightly past his expiration date. The poor bastard's life here is not exactly a picnic, so I spice it up with some sarcasm and tell him my story, how badly I need to get into the institute. He was especially surprised by the part where I killed Kellogg. Turns out the guy was some kind of local Voldemort, so badass no one even said his name out loud. Virgil said that to teleport into the institute, I'll need a chip from one of the courses, a special institute project that's nearly impossible to beat in open combat. Basically, Voldemort squared, as Cyborg multiplied by infinity. Naturally, he expressed doubt in my success, but still asked me if I do manage to get inside, to find a serum that could restore his human form. I see no reason not to agree, so we go looking for this courser, who would have thought, in the ruins of the institute, following a signal on my Pip-Boy. Trying to assess the effectiveness of a super android that broadcasts its location 24/7 feels kinda pointless, but eventually we find a green building that looks like a two giant dicks and go inside. Walking inside, we become witnesses and then participants in a bloody massacre. Some mercenaries are already here, fighting the Corsair with everything they've got, and, judging by their scattered limbs and corpses, not doing a great job. Then again, stepping on a landmine myself was not exactly a shining moment either. After clearing out everyone standing between me and the target, we finally reach the star of the show. He looks at me and asks,
Are you here for the synth?
I calmly reassure him.
I'm here to pick up an order. 2 large pepperoni and a calzone. Name is Fuck You.
What the fuck is that piece of shit? I can't see anything. How am I supposed to aim? After a painful struggle, we managed to kill the super killer, take his chip and his gear, and rescue some chick who turns out to be a synth. I honestly couldn't care less, so we let her go and head back to Dr. Amari, only to find out her skills are not enough to decode the chip. Apparently, we need some kind of hippie hackers living somewhere underground, and to find them, we have to follow the Freedom Trail. But first, city trip. We sell our junk and buy this, baby. Following the red line on this pre-war tourist route, we end up in ruined church, go into the catacombs, and there it is, the door with some spinning lock. Great, so I was supposed to remember the letters. Okay, let me grab a pen and paper then. Once opened, we are greeted by some nerds with guns, but after I tell them I killed a Corsair, they are ready to marry me on the spot. In exchange for the chip, they decode it and share all the juicy data. Time to head back to Virgil in the glowing sea. Naturally, I forget the power armor and go out there in just a jacket and pants. In the 5 seconds it takes to reach the cave, I soak up a solid dose of radiation and aggro a sleeping Desklo, which Nick has to deal with. Running into the cave, Virgil nearly drops his jaw, clearly not expecting to see us, and tell us how impressed he is that we even managed to walk through this land with balls this big. In theory, I could maybe hijack the Institute's teleport signal, just gotta build the machine myself. Which is great, because I love when a nuclear epic turns into a Minecraft side quest. He also advised us to get support from anyone we trust for this dangerous mission, and obviously, I'm turning to my beloved Brotherhood of Steel. We head straight to the airport and report to Commander Maxon that we have found a way to reach the Institute and we need help building the signal interception device. Impressed that one random drifter from the wasteland turned out to be more useful than his entire military order, he asked what my real motivations were. I saw no other options but to tell the truth. I'm going there to find my son. He offered his sympathies, gave me another one of those dramatic speeches and sent me downstairs to our mechanic at the airport to start building the damn thing. After spending about an hour trying to figure out how to play The Sims inside Fallout, we ran into a lack of components for the relay console and some other crap. So we head out into the wasteland in search of the necessary items. Finding the military-grade circuit board was easy, but getting the biometric scanner turned out to be more of a pain. Fuck! Sheesh. After clearing a clinic full of green filth, we find some kind of storage room, which neither I nor Nick can unlock. So, thrilled with having just wasted 20 minutes of our lives, we head to Diamond City to try our luck there. Luckily, the 24/7 shop has exactly what we needed, and we sprint back to the airport to finish building the device. And after building all necessary components, we once again hit a bottleneck, this time energy. We need more generators, but now we are short on resources, specifically ceramic. Only God knows where to find it, so let's start with the most divine place in the Wasteland, the Brotherhood of Steel airship.
You're an inspiration to us all, Knight. Do us proud.
You guys can drink your coffee from your hands. And finally, everything's ready. We report to Maxon, he praised us for the unimaginable amount of work we've done and assigned us a new mission: find a certain Dr. Lee inside the Institute. Our mechanic buddy also asked us to tap into the Institute's network and download whatever we can. Just let me grab my power armor and we'll get this show on the road. Right before we are about to get atomized and rematerialized, the commander reminds us, if a single hair falls from Dr. Lee's head, we'll be disintegrated beyond repair. Oh, Jesus, light me up already. And here we are. We are immediately contacted by some father who, believe it or not, is actually called Father, and he says he knows why we came, has been waiting for us and wants to speak in person. Well, lucky I brought my minigun. Not that I run into anyone on the way. We enter a room in which, inside a glass pot on the concrete floor, sits a child who looks like our Sean and is playing with an iron welded to the floor. I immediately smelled bullshit, especially when the little guy started screaming his lungs out. My son wouldn't be such a pussy. He'd piss himself in joy seeing a guy in power armor. And then, surprise, some old dude walks in, turns off the kid who turns out to be a synth, and introduces himself as the father. Time to learn the truth. Turns out this old man is our son, and it's been 60 years since he was taken. One thing's for certain, my wife definitely didn't cheat on me. I take back all the crap I gave her. He told me what he's been up to, explained how the Institute is not nearly as evil as people make it out to be, how they develop synth, and how every single one of them carries his DNA, which means mine too. Then he expressed some regret over having to work with Skalok and said he was genuinely happy I put that bastard down. To top it all off, he offered me a spot by his side, to join him and lead humanity toward a brighter future. Out of the entire buffet of dialogue options, I told him I wasn't sure yet if I was ready and decided to look around the place a bit first, because nothing ever smells that sweet without a hint of rot. Besides, if I start blasting everything that moves, it's gonna be kinda hard to extract Dr. Lee later, and frankly, I like to keep my balls uneaten by Elder Maxon. Alright, I was clearly overdressed for the occasion, but nevertheless, after meeting everyone, I find Dr. Lee, and when I try to convince her to leave this place, she answers negatively, unless we bring her information about what happened to her friend, Dr. Virgil. I intended to inform her that Virgil is alive and in reasonable condition, having aged not like wine but like milk turned green cheese, yet that dialogue option was unavailable. My character said some bullshit and deservedly got told to fuck off. So we go to an abandoned section of the Institute, find there Dr. Virgil's notes and also the vaccine he requested. But do you know what the worst thing I noticed in this institute? Having such capabilities in gene and machine engineering, these sons of bitches created gorillas and robots, but not a single big booty Latina. Not one. My son, you had such potential and you completely flushed it down the toilet. I'm sorry I wasn't there for you. Otherwise, you'd have been a proper man. Dead before 45, full of venereal disease and cirrhosis, famous in every dive and brothel that would rather forget you. In essence, I am Kellogg multiplied by 5. I survive only due to cryogenic preservation, and recently, I have experienced erectile difficulties with my wife. In short, a hellish place, as you understand, and I firmly decided to destroy it, so I gathered all the necessary data and went to the commander. Elder Maxon is simply delighted, said that a new era for humanity is coming, and that while they're busy drawing swastikas, I should go downstairs and help Dr. Ingram with the weapon of retribution, for which I was, by the way, getting Dr. Lee in the first place. She was very upset when she learned that the Institute had lied to her and happily agreed to help us leave no stone unturned here. So after giving the cure to Dr. Virgil, we begin the long and tedious search for the components needed for Liberty Prime.
follow the brilliance of the glow, and it shall may atoms.
What the fuck are you talking about? What the fuck is Atom Wrath? Ah, this is Atom's Wrath. Well, I'm glad I didn't shoot you. Upon returning from our exhausting journey, we received the news that Elder Maxon, God bless him, urgently wants to see me, and I barely had time to appear before his mighty gaze when he immediately started accusing me of something. Buddy, the only sin I'm guilty of is being hyper fucking awesome. What's the problem? It turns out that in the data I extracted from the Institute, besides the virus that sent dick pics of Elder Maxon to the entire female staff on his behalf, though I'm pretty sure the virus has nothing to do with it, there were also lists of runaway synths with their serial numbers and DNA codes. One of these codes matched perfectly with the DNA of Paladin Dance. All that remains is to ask why the commander needs his paladin's DNA, how exactly he obtained it, and how often he engages in this kind of activity. But instead of addressing that, I'm accused of lacking vigilance and foresight. Apparently, I should have suspected something. Look boss, I don't usually spend my evenings collecting DNA samples from my male teammates, so I'm going to assume you are the expert here. Either way, we are ordered to track down our battle brother and terminate him. And after talking to his protege, who asked us not to kill our friend and gave us a lead on where he might be, we head to that place and find Paladin Dance. The poor guy was already waiting for us and expressed his desire to leave this burdened world as a paladin of the Brotherhood of Steel. Synth must be killed, even if the synth is yourself. I tried to argue with him, convince him to run away with me somewhere we wouldn't be found, build a house, get a dog and live together far away from all these brotherhoods, institutes and my children. But he clearly heard that with a different implication, understood why I couldn't get it up for my wife, and wanted to broadcast to everyone that I'm gay. Not today, my friend. Not today. Bringing Dance's balls on a silver platter, Elder Maxon said that his tags would have been enough, and told me to keep them as a memento. You heard him, buddy. Be careful. Our next task will be the extermination of the railroads, since the nerds who free synth are no less a threat than the Institute. I agree completely, so we turn the catacombs under the church into a crypt and continue the assembly of Liberty Prime. All that's left for us is to steal the
agitator
right from under the Institute's nose. We fight our way down to the very bottom of mass fusion and find ourselves a whole new set of problems for our asses. Close the door, I guess. And oh god, finally, we are ready to launch our Titan, telling him that the Institute is basically communist Chinese, and he happily marches off to spread democracy in every conceivable way. And we follow him, through fire and water, literally. Blowing a gaping hole in the ground, we once again end up in the Institute, but this time we start smashing everything inside. Genociding all the scientists, synths and gorillas, I find my son who, very conveniently, has already decided to start dying, but I still manage to say a few words to him before the end.
I'll see you in hell.
Then straight into the reactor we go, slap the bomb in place, and there is nothing left except to get to a safe distance and send this whole utopian nightmare to the Shadow Realm. Except, on the way out we get stopped by a synth, the very one who pretended to be my son, and he asks me to save him. Ha! So now you are suddenly calling me dad, huh? I already know you are a synth, so have a nice day. Oh, right. Even Proctor Ingram was shocked by my reaction, but this tragic moment was immediately balanced out by a proper fireworks show. And I suppose we'll end it here. This was fun, everything around is a pure madness, and I think there's still plenty left to do here. What do you say?